the expected challenges and benefits of electric fire trucks with Robin Selmy, Mechanical Division Chief, Equipment and Asset Management for Toronto Fire Services. Hello, my name is Laura Aiken. I'm the editor of Firefighting in Canada. I'm here for a chat with Robin Selmy, Mechanical Division Chief, Equipment and Asset Management for Toronto Fire Services. We're here to talk about why Toronto Fire purchased electric apparatus and the expected challenges and benefits to come with this novel fire truck. How are you doing today, Rob?
I am fabulous, Laura. Thank you for the invite.
Wonderful. Happy to have you here. So let's jump into my first question.
All right.
So briefly, tell us what you take care of at Toronto Fire.
Oh, that's a big list. We have 84 stations in the city of Toronto, so that's about 200 heavy trucks, at least 220 medium to light vehicles, 2 fireboats, all that magical equipment that comes with fire trucks. My group design and specify all the trucks. We design and specify 90% of the equipment we use. The only thing I don't take care of is some PPE, bunker gear, helmets, gloves, that kind of thing. In the process of buying a new fireboat, actually, so I maintain, or my staff maintain, the marine engineer side of the fireboat operation as well. And I'm a member of the Hussar logistics team that is quite an adventure these days with all the publicity that's going on right now. So it's a busy job.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, yeah. What I can tell you, if you don't mind me throwing in a little hunk of history, is I marvel at the change. We're talking about electric fire trucks now, and I think my almost 35-year career, you went from, like honest to God, when I started in Etobicoke, one of the former cities of the city of Toronto, we had open cab LaFrance trucks, we had gas engines, we had smoky old mechanical diesel engines. Thank God we've all progressed to modern electric diesel engines. In the interest of getting green, I've transitioned to diesel-run idle reduction systems. I'm now currently buying lithium-ion battery systems to be idle reduction. And now magically, only 34 years later, we're buying electric fire trucks. So the progress along the way is kind of staggering.
It's wild.
I know.
It's wild.
I know.
And they just keep getting more complex.
They
I
do.
feel like they're not getting simpler.
They really do. And if I can throw a shout out to the mechanics that fix these things,
Yes.
Holy cow, has that has that operation changed, because they are a rolling computer now. They really are.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what were the electric truck options available when you purchased?
Well, when we purchased, there's actually, same as it is now, to be honest, there's really only 3 manufacturers that have gone through the massive amount of effort to create this technology. And the first one at the gate was Rosenbauer, who produce a fabulous truck. They really do. It's very innovative. And I had the pleasure of sitting through a process with them. They were actually still in the design process. And the cool thing that they were doing was it had nothing to do, or I shouldn't say it had nothing to do, it had very little to do with just saving fuel and saving CO emissions. It was all about integration with PPE and integration with the staff themselves, integration with the systems out there, traffic and incident command, you name it. It was all about health and safety and fuel that was way down the line, to be honest. Very European design, very unusual seating position inside, an unusual body style, but some cool features like front and rear steering, so it's very maneuverable. It goes up and down too, so literally it drops like a bus when you pull up. It raises up if you have flood. You can go, I forget what height it is, but it's impressive technology. A little bit tough for us being a large department. We saw it as a bit of a training issue. Fabulous for some other departments. The other option we had at the time that wasn't really an option, unfortunately, because at the time it was still in the production, was the Pierce process, or the Pierce truck. Their truck as well, very impressive design, very North American. At the time wasn't available, it was still a prototype, so we really couldn't check it out. It had a proprietary drive system that, for the techno geeks out there, was very interesting to hear about, but we couldn't really look into that one. So the one we focused on and ended up buying, as everybody knows, is the Rev Group version, also North American. It will end up looking very much like our normal trucks, so the transition to training for us is very simple. Everybody has staff moving around stations and whatnot, so if you, in our case anyhow, for a large department, if we had a vehicle that was very difficult to train on or very unique, it makes it tough for us, any piece of equipment, whether it's a truck or not. So this one, good design. The system itself had been in use in Europe for a long time. So they're making it partially in Europe, partially in the US. I would assume transitioning to all in the US one of these days, but those were our 3 options, and they literally still are. For anybody buying a truck, you really can't go wrong. the amount of technology that's gone into these, it's hard to buy a bad one. So that was our option.
Absolutely. Nobody went second rate, did they?
No.
No.
Well, and for the price, they better not be.
Yeah. So what kind of process was it to go through and purchase the 2 electric pumpers that you bought?
Well, we have a number of processes in the city that we have the opportunity to use. Normally, for my standard pumpers, I write a full specification, put them out to bid, because they can be built by numerous companies. Aerial trucks, same thing. Something like this that's very unique, the 3 different brands are 3 completely different animals, so it was very tough to write a specification for it. So the City of Toronto has recently got into the availability of a buying group. I'm not sure if you know what buying group. Sourcewell is the big name you hear.
Okay.
Their Canadian arm is Canoe, which I chuckle at that name, to be honest. But
very Canadian name.
Very Canadian. I believe the term maple syrup was taken. So, so we purchased it through a buying group. But first, what we did was we had a vendor day, meaning, which is a legit system in the city. We had each vendor produce or give us a demonstration of their vehicle, what it does, how it's designed, all of its features, whatnot. So after that, we had an ad hoc group made of the apparatus committee and a number of senior management, whatnot, and we defined the one that was best for our needs, to be honest. It's not necessarily the best for everybody's needs, but it's, like I said, they're all very good. So so we bought it through the Sourcewell system, which means you just pick the vendor that sells that. The Sourcewell system itself defines the price. You don't really have to worry about it. It's all been bid. It's all legit. So the price, as I joked earlier, is rather high, but they all are. And it's new
technology.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah, you can't blame them. I mean, I joke with the vendor, did you have to make back all that money in the first truck? But it's not. I would anticipate the price to come down substantially.
Yeah.
I would hope anyhow. I mean, I never personally thought I would see a normal pumper truck be over $1 million. And these are 2-ish, so.
Yeah.
You know,
but right on the cutting edge. I mean, this is the latest and
so.
greatest, right?
Very much so. Very fluid process too, to be honest. So yes, we purchased it, and I think it's the same with anybody that's bought a Rosenbauer or a Pierce. You're still massaging the design along the way. So it's been a very interesting project to take part in, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So why was the city interested in spending this much money to try electric fire trucks?
Well, it's a responsibility thing, in my opinion, for one thing. Large cities that have, I don't want to sound like we're flippant with money, but large city that has the availability to try out new technologies, if you ask me, is where it should come from. It would be nice if there was some federal, provincial funding coming. We're actually still trying to work on that, but hasn't come yet. But it's a bit of a Schrodinger cat thing. Until you take the lid off the box, you don't know what you have. So. All of that technology and all of that engineering is great, but until you put it in the hands of firefighters and drive it through the city streets and hit potholes and hit traffic calming and covered in road salt and cover whatever that spray is that's destroying all of our vehicles right now.
Something.
You don't really know. So, I mean, unless we try, I'm very positive about how it's going to work out, but unless you try, you don't know. And what I mean, you must know the City of Toronto is a very green city. And we have a number of programs, if I can list a few for you. We have net zero emissions slated for 2040. We have Pathway to Sustainable Fleets program, meaning any vehicle that can be hybrid should be hybrid. They're investigating more compressed natural gas trucks, not in fire, but in waste management, et cetera. All sorts of anti-idling technology. I've been a member of the Green Fleet team for 10 years at least. And just a few numbers here. The intent is to have a sustainable, climate-resistant, low-carbon fleet. And the city has deemed that 45% of the fleet to be low-carbon by 2030, 65% greenhouse reduction by 2030, and 80% greenhouse gas reduction by 2050. And that's incredible when you think of it.
Yep.
And more importantly, they haven't just said we're going to do this, they're also implementing a tracking process to say that we did it, or to show that we did it, and show that we're on track all the time. So
the accountability is there.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if I can read one statement for you for that accountability, for the net zero strategy, the policy statement says, the city plays a clear role in defining the ways we build, travel, and consume. And when policies are effectively implemented and programs are easily accessed, to realize maximum uptake and engagement, the city can have a great impact on the community's emissions, meaning we are putting all these programs in place and the end result is cleaner air for all of our people. So it's very hard for us not to. So it wasn't really even a should we, it was a we absolutely have to. How can we not, to be honest?
It's right in line with the mandate, that's for sure.
Well, yeah.
So what kind of challenges and infrastructure issues do you anticipate getting these on the road?
Well, that's the hard one. The good thing, timing-wise, it's actually worked out very good because the city fleet people that we deal with every day have a citywide program on the go right now to put in charging stations throughout the city. The intent is both for the public but also for the city vehicles, primarily ambulance and us. So at the same time, our challenge we have is that everybody has is the power grid issue. If everybody on your street goes out and buys an electric car tomorrow, we got a problem because your own certain area won't take it. We have an issue with age of stations. They're historical buildings that don't necessarily have the hydro capacity to do it. So we have yet to define where these two trucks are going to go, but it will match with, I personally want to put them in very busy stations. There's no sense of parking it. You want to test them.
Yeah.
You want to run the life out of them. So that will define location based on run numbers, but also whether the power grid itself can take it in the area. Because adding a station, as if anybody's done it from their own house, it's expensive. Adding a large station like this that takes one or two vehicles is very expensive. So we will do it in an area that's hopefully not hard to do. The other issue there is literally not an infrastructure thing, but actual supply. The manufacturers will tell you, a guy from Ford has come right out and said 50% of the raw materials that they need to buy all the cars they want to, or build all the cars they want to build, doesn't even exist yet. So we have all these noble ideas, but it's not necessarily even possible just yet.
Yeah.
And there are all those funny ones that are hard to pronounce, lithium, cobalt, all the funky ones. So California is going to ban the sale of gas-powered vehicles in 2035, I think it is. So it's coming, but it's very difficult. There's a lot of, not just infrastructure, there's a lot of back-end stuff that has to happen ahead of time.
You have to get all the vehicles made to fill in for those non-gas vehicles.
Correct. Yeah. There really is. And then you throw in all that other infrastructure-like questions, like our climate, although it hasn't been much of a winter this year, as we were talking about earlier, but we have radical temperatures, very hot in the summer, very cold in the winter, and batteries don't like either. So the battery systems on any of these trucks have a heater system on them and a cooling system on them that, when you have a wild swings of temperature like we've had lately, that could be a problem. You throw in, we're replacing frames in trucks now, which in my entire career I've never heard of that. So the corrosion out there between salt and these road sprays, the pre-treatments, are absolutely destroying raw metal components of trucks. So that's a fear of these as well. Frame structures have got better now. They've, galvanizing is basically a standard, but you're taking a truck now that has an awful lot of electrical components and connections and whatnot. So it would be hard not to be concerned about that, to be honest. Water flow concerns, water temperatures and whatnot. You currently have a diesel run truck that has a large hot exhaust system down below, keeps the fire pump nice and warm. You don't have that with this. You have a backup diesel engine, which, by the way, none of these electric trucks are fully electric. They all have a backup diesel engine. They have to. But you don't have that normal heat. So even with a normal truck, I build it with a small water pump system. So if we're at a training event or a call for a long time not pumping water, it flows water through the pump. So I've done that with these as well, but you don't have near the heat. And if you're producing heat externally from the battery system, you're draining the batteries down very quickly. So that's a bit of a concern too. So lots of funny little things to work out along the way.
Yeah, totally different technology. Is there a fear of fires with the indoor and outdoor charging?
You know what? I don't know. And it's funny, I actually had that on my notes to talk to you about today, and I took it out because I don't honestly know. My concern, and the reason I wrote it in my initial comment to you, was my concern is that the internet is full of fires of cars and garages, Teslas catching fire, charging stations catching fire. I have been assured by the manufacturers this isn't a concern. We're putting charging systems everywhere, City Hall, you name it. There's lots of charging systems indoor. So I am hoping those oddball flukes are just oddball flukes, to be honest. I mean, lithium-ion battery fires are a huge concern right now because they're very hard to put out. a fire truck in a fire hall, I don't even want to think about it, to be honest, but I am more than confident that it's not an issue.
Yeah.
And I've been assured by people that know a whole lot more about electricity that it's not an issue. So I'm going to hope not.
Yeah, I feel like somewhere somebody understands how those fires start and how to prevent them, maybe, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Although if you've ever seen a lithium-ion battery catch fire, it's very dramatic.
Is it?
Oh
Yeah,
my.
I haven't.
It
No.
shoots off like little bottle rockets. It's very dramatic and very hard to put out because it just keeps generating its own heat and yeah. So.
That issue, I think, will keep increasing as we continue to move, in all the ways we move towards batteries,
Correct.
right, as a society,
Correct,
I'm sure.
yeah.
So what other issues do you anticipate placing these trucks in service?
Well, there's the, aside from infrastructure issues and supply and demand issues, I probably put training as being the bigger one. We chose to go with a North American design primarily because it's probably easier to train on, easier when staff move around. But there's between the firefighters themselves using it, which theoretically it's almost exactly the same. The beauty of it is it's dead quiet. I spoke with one of the engineers down at E1 where ours are being built, and they had just come from the test site. And he said, I was having a conversation like I am with you right now, and it was running full capacity. It's just dead quiet. It's just an electric motor running a fire pump that makes no noise. So brilliant. Maybe our bigger issue, to be honest, is our own technician staff that have to work on them. There is obviously a large master cutoff, but you're talking about a vehicle that has high voltage wiring all throughout it. So I don't care who you are, that's just nervous. So you don't touch anything on the truck without flipping the master switch and shutting it down. So that will come with a large training package for our own staff, but it'll also come with an awareness package for the firefighters themselves.
And then is it like driving it? Is it just very similar to driving?
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's literally just an electric motor driving the rear axle the same as an engine would have. So it does have a backup diesel engine, but all that diesel engine does is run a generator. So it's no different whether the engine's on or off. And it's the same basic drive line through the pump to the rear axle, so you just drive it quiet.
Nice.
I fully expect these to be very, very well received for that, if nothing else. Now the engine itself, the diesel engine, when it kicks in, my guess is it's relatively noisy. Because it's a generator, runs at a fixed speed, they just sit there and whine. But normally it won't be an issue. The other issue I have is just the lead times right now. The lead times on anything you purchase now, and anybody listening can tell you, a truck is 2 years is a good time. So I ordered these, I forget, almost a year ago now, and I'm hoping 2024 or early 2024, but I don't know for sure. And honestly, God love the company, they can't tell you either.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do now, nobody can tell you how long it's going to take or how much it's going to cost a year from now, because they just don't know. There's so many variables in the middle of it and problems with it. So that's the big issue. I mean, the other issue we have to think about are the limitations of the truck. It's slightly less water flow in the pump, not enough to care about. I can be greedy sounding and say the City of Toronto has so many trucks that attend to most large fires. If one has a slightly less water flow, it's not that big of a deal. You don't always use a truck at its maximum full capacity nonstop anyhow.
Yeah.
These have an incredible range. They're 2.5 hours at draft. So from a hydrant, you're probably 3.5 hours full electric before that other engine even needs to start. So that's impressive. You could probably think about the personal side too. Do people want this? Do firefighters want this? Are they keen on it? Are they not keen on it? Get this thing away from me? I don't know. It's to be seen. What I can tell you is I get called all the time from people when they're coming. There's a real positive vibe around buying these trucks and seeing how they work and seeing how they operate and being on it. Just the quiet side of it is such a bonus. It really is. I mean, fire calls themselves are already just pure noise. These things will take it to a whole new degree, to be honest. So.
Yeah, well, adds a little less chaos in an already chaotic situation to have it run quieter,
Correct.
right?
And just think when responding to a call, you're not listening to the turbocharger of an engine that's just beside your right knee screaming away while you're trying to communicate within a truck what you're about to go do. So,
right.
And we don't use headsets in our trucks, so that'll make a big difference too. So very positive, I think.
Yeah, I think so. It's exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
It's cool technology, and
Yeah.
it's neat to hear about the cutting edge of things, where things are going. I think the manufacturers have been very impressive with what they've come out with as far as trying to cover off all the bases of concerns, right? Try and come out with something that performs, and so it'll be interesting to see them hit the road. And
they're not just being used in pumpers right now. I know for a fact there's a couple in the process of being built as large rescues, without a fire pump, which extends it even that much longer. So they're very impressive. I would actually really encourage anybody, whether you're thinking of it or not, it's something. It's coming no matter what. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. Whether you want to be in the front of the pack or not. I was never a fan of being the guy that had the first one. It's kind of let somebody else worry about the problems.
Do the trial run.
Well, generally speaking, you don't always want to be the first guy out of the blocks, but I can assure you, at least in the case of the one we bought, it's a very corporately driven project at the highest level, so we will get incredible service to any issue that comes up. Guaranteed, both by the vendor that sold it to us and the company themselves. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I wish I could have it here to show you right now.
I know, me too. I'm very curious to sit in one myself, that's for sure.
Well, it's funny, and just by fluke, I've been to the company a couple of times, and I've never been able to drive it. Twice those one time it was somewhere on the other side of the country, another time it was all being taken apart by the gentlemen from Scotland that are designing the system for them. So, twice.
Are you going to get the first test drive?
Maybe in April, actually. I have to go down for another truck, so I'm hoping it's there and it's actually available to drive. So,
that would be exciting for sure.
Yeah, everybody's driven it said it's remarkable. It was just at Daytona Speedway, as a matter of fact.
Oh, neat.
They did a partnership with them. Yeah.
Cool.
Very interesting. So, anyway, like I said, very positive and looking forward to it. I wish it could be at the Ontario Chief Show coming up, or it'll be at FDIC if anybody is going there. Yeah. Guaranteed, so I will see it there. Again, won't get to drive it because it'll be inside.
Yeah, get to say hello to it, right?
I get to look at it again, again. But no, it's an impressive technology, it really is, and it's got a lot of people in the department very excited about it. It does, and it's actually bringing a lot of people in the city together by virtue of working with the corporate fleet people, the facility and real estate people, and so it's interesting to see.
Yeah. All right, thank you for joining us, Rob. This has been a most informative conversation. There's certainly a lot of buzz around electric fire trucks.